Hi everyone and welcome to Can You See Me? This is a platform where I take you on a journey to self-discovery and finding purpose. I'm your host Nganga Gashie and welcome. So on this episode, I want us to talk about cutting through the noise. You know, we live in a digital and hyper-connected world. And so in essence, that means that you can connect with someone from wherever, in whichever part of the world. And so with that, there are so many opportunities and there are so many possibilities. But at the same time, we have something we call noise, digital noise. And so because everyone out there has something to tell you, and everyone out there wants to attract you and they want to catch your attention by whatever they have to say to you. And so on this end, you will find there's someone trying to tell you how you're supposed to dress. On this other end, you find someone will tell you how you're supposed to live your life. On this other side, you have someone telling you what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to act in whichever circumstance you find yourself in. And so with that noise, we find ourselves confused and we lack a bit of focus and we get distracted. But we need to understand there's one skill that we need to have in this digital world, and that is how to cut through all the distractions and how to cut through all the noise. But even before we cut through the noise, we need to understand what this noise is and how it looks. And so one of the forms of noise we have in today's world is what I call information overload. And so there's so much out there in terms of information. And of course, we know that we live in a digital age and everyone has something to say. And so we have a lot of experts. We have a lot of people who have something to say, of course, in different industries and different fields. And so with that, we find there's a lot of knowledge out there. And I know that most of you find it difficult to know how to sift through the information that is out there. And we don't know what is valuable and what is not. And so we need to understand and we need to capture the reality that we have so much information out there and we need to know what is important to us for us to consume and what is not. And also another form of noise we have is what I call the excessive notifications. Of course, all of us, we have our smartphones. And on our smartphones, we have a lot of apps on our phones. And with these apps, we have a lot of notifications that come through. Maybe it's an app on news. Maybe you have an app on 24-hour news cycles that always updates you on the current news and what is happening all over the world. And so you find there's a lot of notifications that really usually happens. And of course, for those people who usually have a lot of apps on their phones, they usually get distracted by so much of that notification that, of course, we usually hear on our phones. And so with all those notifications, we usually find that we get easily distracted from pursuing our productivity and even in our daily lives. And so another form of noise that we have is comparison culture. And of course, with most of us, we are either a part of a social media platform. And we all know that, of course, with the age of influencers, we have people who are trying to tell us how we are supposed to dress. We have people who are trying to portray to us how we are supposed to live our lives. And so with that, if you don't seem to conform to that form of lifestyle, sometimes we find it difficult, especially for young people. And so we want to compare ourselves with others. And when we find ourselves not measuring up to whatever the influencers or the lifestyle brands are trying to project to us, so we find that this causes a lot of a noise to us, and causes us, of course, to be anxious and have mental health issues. And so we need to understand the impact that this digital noise has on us. And so one of the impacts that, of course, we have is what I call decision fatigue. And of course, because of the information overload that we have in our generation, and so we find it difficult to make informed decisions, because of course, with so many experts out there, with so many content out there, with so many information out here, we find it difficult to sift through the content that we go through, and we find it difficult also getting to know which is the right path to follow and that which is not the best way to follow. And also, of course, the second impact that we have of the digital noise that we are talking about today is we have mental health, especially with the younger generations. We're talking about Gen Zs and millennials. We have realized from statistics that a majority of the suicide rates that we have in our country, in our continent, and all over the world is because of Gen Zs. And we know that Gen Zs have been born and brought up in the digital age. And because of this constant stimulation and being constantly on social media, so you find that most of them have developed anxiety because of what they are consuming, because of the negative news that we have all over the place. So you find most of our young people are really anxious about tomorrow. And also at the same time, we have most of our young people who are into depression because of trying to measure up to what the culture on social media is trying to portray as the right form of living and the right form of lifestyle that they should have. And also another impact I have seen in the digital spaces because of the digital noise is we have shorter attention spans. Have you realized that today it's difficult to just focus on one thing online? It's because even as you let's assume you're watching a video, and by the time you hit 30 seconds of that video, of course you find that there's maybe an ad, or maybe you find there's a notification ping, and so you find it is difficult to concentrate over a long period of time. And that's why, especially for Gen Zs, we find it is difficult for them to stay and to have their attention spans longer than, of course, our minds are able to process. But then you find that we have limited attention spans. We don't stay in one place for a long period of time. And so this is one of the impacts of the digital noise that we have. And also lastly, one of the last impacts I would say of the digital noise we have is a reduced quality of interactions. I don't know if you have ever sat down with somebody, and then even as you sit across the table with them, you find that they rarely look at you in the face. So they are always on the phone. And so there's this phenomenon we call fabbing. So fabbing is basically phone snubbing. It is being able to, not being able rather, to stay with someone and have quality interactions with this person over a period of time because you are busy on your phone. You can't focus on this person. You can't look at this person straight in their eyes, but you're busy on maybe responding to emails or responding to WhatsApp messages and all that. So this is a crisis that we have in our generation. And so we need to know, like I said before, one of the skills that we need to have in this day and age is we need to know how to cut through the noise. And I have a few ideas and a few strategies that you can employ in your own personal life. I am trying to employ it in my own life, and for sure, it is working wonders for me. So one of the strategies that I employ in my own personal life is to unfollow accounts of people or organizations that do not add value to my own personal life. I've realized that most of the noise is because we follow every single person. We follow organizations, we follow brands that do not add value to our lives. And so one of the most important strategies that you can apply in your own life is to be able to follow people who you see adding value to your own personal life. And people who add value to you, and people whose values align with your own values. And that way you're able to sift through all the noises that we have in the digital space. And the second strategy also that I use is I usually turn off non-essential notifications. And so we have apps in our lives, we have notifications that we usually turn on that make a lot of noise to our own personal life. And so what we need to do is identify. So take the time when you are alone, just take the time to get into your phone and look at the notifications that are active in your own phones, and being able to identify the ones that make sense and the ones that do not make sense, the ones that are essential and the ones that are not essential. So turn off the non-essential ones. And with that strategy, then you're able to turn off a lot of noise that is around your digital space. So another strategy that I use is I set limits to my social media. So sometimes I can even stay for a week without getting into my social media platforms. And so with that way, I am able to focus on my own personal life, and I am also able to limit a lot of the content that is out there that people are consuming. And so finally, I usually have what I call screen-free days. So there's a day in the week for me, and most of the time for me it is on Thursday, that I usually just throw my phone away and just focus on physical activities. For example, I can just take a nature walk, I can take a hike, I can spend time with friends and family, and I just do physical things that are not related to my phone. And so with that way, I am able to control noise that comes in to my mind. And remember that at the end of the day, you need to understand that you're able to take control of your digital life. So thank you for watching this episode. And until next time, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, to hit the like button, hit the notification button. Of course, I add value to your life. And until next time, see you.